Hello, everyone. So, there is amazing news in the field of health and healthcare. Studies over the last 25 years or so have been accumulating, adding up to each other. And finally, we have a complete picture about how stressors, experiences of fear, hatred, and betrayal impact our health and well being. And they have an incredible impact on our health, which is great to know because this gives us the opportunity to heal ourselves, heal each other, and really to prevent major problems like mental illnesses, chronic diseases, addictions, violence, and crime. So, back in 1996, Kaiser Permanente and CDC created this amazing study with tens of thousands of people. And what they found was this triangle image really explains their findings. They realized that at the root of all these problems that I mentioned was experiences of adversities during childhood. And later on, that finding was developed even more. But at that time, in 1996, 25 years ago, that's what they discovered. And they realized that, or they theorized that these experiences of fear, hatred, and interpersonal betrayal led to disruptions, problems in the way the nervous system functions. And those problems, the way our brain and body wires itself, showed up later on in a child's development as problems in cognitive performance. Children who are experiencing trauma, for example, tend to score 10 points less than children who aren't experiencing these intense fear and hatred and helplessness in their lives. And after treatment, the good news is there, and you're going to see this pattern continue on. Good news is we can treat these neurological disruptions. Anyway, cognitive disruptions in the capacity of our brain to bring together different information pieces, emotional problems, the ability of our whole organism to actually manage intense feelings. You get when you get a cold, even. That's a stressful experience for our organism too, for a limited time period. You get really explosive and you tend to not tolerate stressful news that well, right? When you're really sick. Imagine that kind of experience continuing for years in your life. So that's the kind of emotional problems we're talking about. Uh, Kids become oppositional, they become really sensitive to stressors in their lives, even when they're not, even when the stressors, quote unquote, aren't so intense. They impact the child's routine, they impact the child's mood for the whole day. That's because their organism loses its ability to tolerate and deal with those emotions after experiences of long term or intense experiences of fear, hate, and betrayal. So they develop social problems, of course, right? When you're not able to control your emotions that well, when you're not able to think about things very clearly, you start having problems with your relationships. And then these researchers discovered as the people grew up, they developed health risk behaviors. And what that means is basically promiscuity, for example, or sex addictions, or being prone to violent outbursts, getting into fights very often, tending to throw yourself out into the streets, for example, in front of cars, because you just don't care anymore. That's the loss of emotional strength right there, talking. And again, we can heal all these problems, all right? So none of these are there forever. Our nervous system and all these neurological disruptions uh, are very possible to work around. Our organism is very plastic, as they say in the field of neurology. So after more years, as the children become adults, these problems that have been brewing since infancy sometimes grow into diseases, they grow into mental illnesses, addictions, and disease, disability, social problems, as they say in the triangle. Now, later studies found that these experiences of intense fear, hatred, and betrayal, I'm emphasizing those three things because at the root of all trauma and these neurological disruptions lies those changes in the organism that are felt through those feelings. So we need to remember those and really minimize the number of experiences, exposures we have to those feelings, right? It kind of comes naturally. So all of these change our gene expression. Yes, our genes are like blueprints, all right? So you're born with certain genes, and some of them can lead to vulnerabilities to certain things, but only if they get activated in a certain way, they can lead to those vulnerabilities. So gene expression is how those genes, the blueprint, gets activated. That's what doctors and researchers mean when they say gene expression. And scientists have discovered that these experiences change the gene expression and make us about, on the average, 20 years less likely to live, or live have 20 years cut off from our lives. And that is also with chronic diseases and disabilities that are burdening us during the time that we're alive. So we not only live less, but we live the life that we live struggling with diseases and disabilities. All of these because of the experiences of fear, hate, and betrayal. Now, the solution to all of these problems that I just mentioned, if we look at this theoretical framework that was developed by major scientists, I'm not just throwing these out, you know, if we look at all this, the solution is to prevent experiences that create fear, that create hatred and betrayal between us as human beings. And what are those experiences? Just look around you. What do you see happening with our nation divided into, people who like one political leader and who don't like that political leader? If you're thinking about racism, think about how that racism impacts both the person who's being racist and the person who's being targeted by racist people. It's fear and hatred just brewing, it just impacts everybody. And every time you have these happening around you, they're taking a little time off your life. We have sayings, we know this, we know all of this intuitively. There's a saying that says, my life just shortened, I lost a minute of my life just now. Or in Turkish, we have that saying anyway. So what to do is to rethink every single system, every cultural practice, every action and relationship that we have between us as human beings all around the world, not just United States. I mean, when we're talking about nuclear weapons with China and Russia and United States and God knows what other country, I get stressed out, right? I mean, that's a cause for fear right there. I don't want nuclear winter, but do these leaders want that? Do the leaders want their people to go through all this because they want to show off? There's another way of being. If we look at the neurobiology of our organism, we're all wired to promote love, to promote trust, and to promote compassion between each other. I mean, it just builds our health. Think of yourself when you fall crazy in love. What do? You want to help everybody, even if you don't know them, even if you don't expect them to pay you back. You just feel like helping others. You just feel like singing and laughing and dancing and hugging people. It just comes naturally, right? I hope you've fallen in love truly in your life. I mean, there are people who have never felt that experience before, and I hope they do. It's a beautiful thing to experience. And the reason why some people aren't able to experience love is because of this again. It's one of those social problems and emotional problems that the uh, experiences, the neurological disruptions, the fear and the hate and the betrayal creates in you. And we can't prevent these from impacting ourselves because the grown-ups in this life, we already experienced whatever we experienced, and there's hope for us as well. As a trauma counselor, I've spent the last 7 years using some of the newer neurological interventions to help people recover from the damage that those stressful experiences created in their nervous system. These include dancing meditations, normal mindfulness based meditations. They include changing our lifestyles, and they include changing our diets. Many different solutions. And the good news is there are solutions. We can do something to improve our lives. We can do something to improve our health and well-being and our longevity. Everybody tells you that if you eat this, you'll stay younger. If you use this cream, you'll be younger. Try joy, try love, and see how much younger you are. Decrease the amount of these experiences of fear and hatred in your life and see how much longer you're going to stay young. I have pictures of myself until 2 years ago where I was young. I had great skin. I had, no sagging or anything like that. Then I went through this extremely stressful period, and everything in my face just fell, and I got wrinkles, I got sagging, and I'm working on myself right now, trying to delete some of that damage that stressful time in my life has created in me. I believe it's possible, and we're going to see. I'm going to see. But the gist of my message is when you're saying something that's going to increase hatred around you, inside you, when you feel that heart beating faster, when you feel that adrenaline rush, those are the times to think twice if what you're doing is actually helpful, or if it's only helping you just further that feeling of hot power that you feel when you're when this stress threat activation is online. When our body shifts into the threat activation, you feel that Hulk like strength and you're like, ah, and that for some people feels good. It makes them feel powerful, it makes them accomplish things. And sometimes when we actually need to defend ourselves, it's helpful. But we have to choose, we have to be mindful about when we use that power that we have inside you. After long term use, we burn ourselves out. So, I've developed a program for those of you who want to change the world and create health, happiness around you, inside you. This program will help you learn to connect with your clients ethically and legally sound way. And it's going to teach you how to heal yourself first and then develop a niche health profession that's based in your interests, in your talents, that you can actually integrate with this health knowledge to help others heal. Because one of the key things in life that keep us young, keep us healthy, is the experience of joy, doing things not because we're afraid of failure or afraid of being demeaned and belittled, but because we love it. Rumi says, let the love of what you do, let the beauty of what you do be what you do. And it's really important to have that spirit and be able to go to work every day and love it. There's a study in England that actually showed city workers who hate their jobs, who are bored in their jobs, are literally dying on the average 20 years earlier. Again, very consistent with the prior findings that the whole experience of fear and hatred change our gene expression, and we tend to die about 20 years earlier than we would have otherwise. So you're invited to join this program. If you have any questions, join me in an Ask Me Anything session. I've listed the times below. I'm a clinician. I'm not a salesperson, so don't expect anything fancy from me. But I do want to answer your questions as truthfully and as helpfully as possible. If you want to join the program, the website link is below as well. Come on, let's do this. Let's change the world. Let's make this fear-based life that we've created, our ancestors have created, because they didn't know any better, right? I mean, you can't blame them for not knowing something we just found out. But now that we know, let's make this shift. Let's make this shift into a love based life, love based cultures, love based governance systems, and live happier, healthier lives. The kids who are committing suicide, who are overdosing all the time, they do so because they don't see a future that's enjoyable, that's livable. Let's give them something to look forward to. And let's make this a beautiful legacy that we leave behind. Much love. We need your heart, we need your soul, and you can get the knowledge from this program. Let's change the world. We can do it. Let's go.